Hello everyone, you have come to Tata Comic Preview channel. This is an art collage novel video. I made this series so you guys can experience the story faster. The video will focus on the character's psychology, the images are for illustration purposes only. Qing frowned and said, "A rat emperor, you've lived for thousands of years. Why are you still acting on impulse? The two of them didn't capture Shui land because they wanted to force us to open the barrier. If we let them go around the Four Seasons barrier, do you think we can stop two martial supremes with just the two of us? At that time, not only will Shui land be captured, but you will also be under the control of the nightmare beast. At that time, your billions of children in the demon plane will become sharp weapons in the hands of others." The rat emperor calmed down at once, but he still said angrily, "Then what do you think we should do? And let them kill my children?" Qing said, "We can only sacrifice Aqua Blue to stop your children from attacking. This will reduce the number of unnecessary casualties. I'll absorb the rule force and Emperor Qi of the Nine Heavens when young Emperor Lilian advances to a martial sovereign. Not only will I be able to recover from my injuries, but I'll also be able to advance to the next level. When the time comes, you'll have the capital to fight them with me in the Water Moon Mirror Flower." The rat emperor squeaked for a long time, as if it couldn't accept this. However, he was also an existence with intelligence, so he knew that little Qing's words were the correct method. He finally suppressed his temper and passed down the order. A large number of flying squirrels in the rhythm of spring suddenly scattered in all directions. Some even retracted their wings and burrowed into the ground. In the blink of an eye, only the blue rat king was left. It stood there alone, staring at the two people in front of it, its eyes full of hatred. "What's going on with?" The two of them were stunned. One of them said in a deep voice, "Could it be that they really gave up?" Che Shuyao's face turned even colder. He said, "It's highly possible. The Rat King isn't an idiot. With the two of us working together, it won't be able to escape. He's abandoning his men to protect himself. In that case, let's refine this Water Rat King first." The other person revealed a trace of ridicule and said, "The worst case scenario is to break this illusory formation. We're just carrying out our mission. Even if the king-level master is angry, the sect will bear the consequences. What does it have to do with us?" He reached out to grab the Akublu Rat King, and the space around him was sealed, making it unable to move. The blue water rat king's eyes were filled with fear, but the space around it had been locked, and it couldn't even shake. A look of despair appeared in its eyes, and it saw a copper ring falling toward it. The 5 bells on the copper ring jingled, leaving only one empty ring that enlarged in the air, turning into a cage. "Little goody, go in." The man smiled coldly, and the aqua blue rat king felt a suction force pulling it in. At that moment, 5 different colors appeared on the beast enslavement bracelet and gave off light in the air. They reflected each other, and only these 5 colors could be seen in the sky. They complemented each other and spread out in all directions. The illusion of spring also retreated. Just as the 2 experts of the Myriad Star Valley were refining the 5 elements beast taming ring, a man in luxurious clothes was also walking through the Water Moon Mirror Flower a few miles behind them. The surprise on his face was getting more and more intense. There was a huge pearl on his belt, which made him look very generous. Suddenly, a 5-colored light appeared in front of him and shot up into the sky. Under the impact of the light, the surrounding illusion became unreal. He suddenly stopped and his pupils shrank. He raised his head to look at the flashing light in the distance and muttered, "This light is so bright that it looks down on a 9th-tier profound armament? Could it be that someone was forging here? But how many people in this world can refine 9th-tier profound armaments?" His heart was filled with shock, and with a flash, he used spatial bending and crossed several miles in an instant. "Who's there?" Che Shuyao instantly sensed that someone was peeking at him. His eyes darkened, and he threw a punch with his right hand. Whether it was a human or a ghost, he had no interest in knowing. He would just directly explode. As soon as the man in luxurious clothes spread out his divine sense, he felt a fierce qi coming at him. He retreated in horror and said, "Emperor Qi of the 9 Heavens." Although he was shocked, he didn't panic. He also closed his 5 fingers together and slashed down like a knife. A sharp golden blade slashed out from his hand and headed towards the fist radiance. Boom. As the 2 gusts of wind collided, the sky changed color. The surrounding plants and peach flowers were all destroyed. Golden light bloomed on the demon land like the sun, shining in all directions. Martial Emperor. Xiao's heart twitched and he shouted in shock. He was extremely alert. He took a step forward and stood beside his companion. He stared at the front and shouted, "Who is it? Report your name." His companion was sitting cross-legged on the ground. With him as the center, a circular formation spread out. Strange symbols kept flowing out from it, turning into white qi and dissipating in the sky. His face also sank as he looked at the 5 elements beast taming ring in the sky, revealing a dignified expression. Now was the crucial period of the refinement, and he could not afford to be distracted. Thinking of his companion's strength, he calmed down a little and continued to devote himself to the refinement. "I'm just here to be a bystander. Please don't fight. Peace breeds wealth." The man in luxurious clothes revealed himself from the void with a smile. A serious look flashed in his eyes and he said with a smile, "I'm Guduongyu. What's your name, big brothers? Where do you work?" Xiao's heart moved and he blurted out, "Myriad treasure stores in Guduongyu? What are you doing here?" A strange expression appeared on his face, as if he had come to a sudden realization. He said, "You're here for Noah's ship." "You two must be joking." Nguduongyu laughed and said, "How can Noah's ship be here? I don't know which wicked person released this fake news. I'm just here to be a bystander and didn't expect to meet the 2 of you who are in such a good mood to actually refine 9th tier profound armaments. TSK, what a great deal. I have never even seen an 8th tier profound armament being refined in my life. It was a feast for the eyes today. To be able to spend so much money and not dress so strangely, the 2 of you must be the big brothers of the Myriad Star Valley, right?" Xiao chuckled and said, "It's indeed boring news. I'm Xiao from the Myriad Star Valley, and this is my companion's fief. We're here to do a small thing, please give us some face." Nguduongyu rolled his eyes and laughed, "I've long heard of your great name. In particular, this brother Fani was known as the #1 beast tamer below the divine control martial sovereign realm. After seeing him today, he realized that his reputation was indeed well-deserved. Even refining a 9th tier profound armament is a small matter. TSK, how are we poor ghosts going to live?" "Brother you must be joking," Xiao said. "I'm afraid you're just making things up. Moreover, Myriad Treasure Store is the world's #1 chamber of commerce. If you are also poor, then we really have no way to live." Nguduongyu chuckled and began to wrangle with him. The 2 of them talked nonsense for more than an hour. The fief lord sat there with an increasingly irritable face. He was constantly on guard, making it impossible for him to continue with his refinement. Moreover, he had already guessed that the other party must have done it on purpose. Refining the 5 elements beast slave ring was not the orthodox way of refining a 9th tier profound armament, but using the 5 elements rat king as a catalyst to condense the power of the 5 elements, so that its power could be comparable to the 9th tier level. Although its attack could not be compared with a real 9th tier profound armament, it could control 9th tier demonic beasts and become a great help. As for Nguduongyu, it continued to wrangle, occasionally shouting a few words, causing the fief to become more and more terrible, and the frustration in its heart to grow. Xiao was also secretly anxious. He tried to drive the other party away a few times, but he was cleverly turned back. Finally, he could not help but pull a long face and said, "Brother you, it's not convenient today, but I'll definitely have a drink and chat with you when I come to the Myriad Stars Valley in the future. Brother you, if there's anything you need, please go ahead." "I'm fine. You guys do what you need to do, don't mind me. This swan and I isn't good. The refining of the beast taming ring in the fief can't be disturbed at all, so it's inconvenient for us to talk here." "That's fine. Why don't we go somewhere else and have a good talk?" "Brother you, let's not talk anymore. Please give me face and leave immediately." I want to, but what kind of place is this? I feel strange no matter how I walk. I'm afraid I'll get lost. By the way, this is the territory of the Western region. Could it be a forbidden area set up by your Myriad Stars Valley? How can our Myriad Stars Valley be so boring? This was an illusionary formation that combined illusion and reality that was set up by the martial sovereign, Tungguang, back then. It was called the Water Moon Mirror Flower. Brother Yu, just find a place to stay and it won't take long for this formation to be broken. Oh. Nguduong Yu's heart skipped a beat. After hearing such a strange thing, it was even more reluctant to leave. It was actually set up by the king-level master. Why do you say that it will be broken soon? Are you two planning to break the formation? Che Shuyao's face immediately turned ugly. If this person knew that they were going to break the formation and spread the news, Tungguang would come to find trouble with them. He coughed a few times and said, "Who dares to say that they can break the formation set up by a king-level martial sovereign? We've lived in the western regions for a long time, so we have some understanding of this place. I'm sure they'll disperse soon, so please leave, Brother Yu." I'm really curious. Why did it disperse on its own? Brother Che, please elaborate. Nguduong Yu, are you really going to fall out with us? Che Shuyao finally couldn't take it anymore and shouted. Why do you say that? Nguduong Yu put on an innocent look and said sincerely, I'm sincerely asking for your advice, Brother Che. If you agree, I'll leave immediately without any delay. Pfft. The Fief Lord finally couldn't take it anymore. At this moment, he was filled with irritation and the power of the formation backfired, causing him to spit out a mouthful of blood. His eyes were filled with cold killing intent as he stared at the sunfish boat and shouted arg. I'll fuck your whole family, procrastinating your sister. Since you don't want to leave, then don't leave. Stay here. He made a move in the air, and the incomplete 5 elements beast taming ring instantly became bigger and made a loud ding-dang sound. It was like his state of mind, and it smashed towards Nguduong Yu. The beast taming ring flickered with 5 types of light, and there were 5 spirit rat kings running around the ring. They were very cute, but their demonic power was sky-piercing and abnormally terrifying. Brother Feng Yi. Nguduong Yu cried out in panic, why are you fighting for no reason? However, his eyes were as still as water, without the slightest hint of panic. His hands moved like wheels, forming a seal in front of him, and then covered the sky. The falling momentum of the beast taming ring stagnated, as if it was suspended in the air, unable to fall. The light and shadow of the 5 rats ran faster and faster, appearing very impatient. Che Shuyao moved as well. He leaned forward and threw a punch at the sunfish boat's face. Martial sovereigns were usually very careful when they fought. One careless move could lead to death. His punch was mediocre. It was merely a condensation of Emperor Qi and a breakthrough of Tao with force. When the sunfish boat's hands blocked the beast taming hoop, it had no time to receive the attack. When the two of them joined forces, they didn't need to use their full strength. As long as they could attack and defend, they would be more than enough. Boom. The punch landed on Duong Yu's face, and Che Shuyao's pupils contracted. Duong Yu didn't dodge, and his body was twisted by his punch. He even smiled and disappeared. The 5 elements beast taming ring in the sky suddenly lost its resistance and suddenly fell. Feng Yi was shocked and hurriedly waved his hand, summoning the beast taming ring back and holding it in his hand. Both of them were extremely shocked and became alert with their backs to each other. Their divine senses covered the entire area within a radius of several miles, guarding against the slightest movement. Duong Yu could actually escape from their eyes, which made their faces very ugly. You two are too mean. Since you don't welcome me, then I'll go play by myself. This place is getting more and more interesting. Duong Yu's voice came from the sky, and after a few rises and falls, it disappeared from their sight. Feng Yi's face was gloomy, revealing killing intent. He said hatefully, we can't let this person live. Otherwise, he will bring us great trouble. Che Shuyao relaxed his yuan qi and said in a deep voice, you saw it just now. His strength might be above you and me, so how did you kill him? For now, let's first find a place to complete your 5-element beast controlling ring, then we'll have a greater chance of killing him. I didn't expect that a piece of news would attract a Marshal Supreme. I originally thought that you and I were the only ones in the Demon Plains. Since Duong you can come, there might be other experts. Let's go to another place first. This illusion is too big, no one should be able to find us in any place. When I finish refining the 5 elements beast taming ring, I'll break this illusion and capture the Rat Emperor. With a thought, the two of them disappeared. Duong Yu had already appeared a few miles away, and looking at the endless spring space, he couldn't help but look excited as he muttered to himself, "This is the power of spring." If it was set up by the king-level master, then it's very likely that he used that thing as the eye of the array. He spread out his divine sense and searched the entire illusionary realm carefully. Big Brother Yunxiao, did you find any flaws? Somewhere within the water moon mirror flower enchantment, as the sky shattered and the scenery changed, everyone from the Hall of Holy Fire rejoiced. However, they quickly discovered that the illusion in front of them was not any better than before, and seemed to be much more serious. Yi Fan could sense that Noah's ship was right in front of him, but he couldn't find the right direction. Standing on the chariot, Yunxiao looked around, and the look in his eyes grew more and more serious. Don't worry, I already have some clues. At least I now know the layout of the formation. It's one barrier over another, layer by layer, and I'm sure. Even if the mountains and rivers disappear, there will still be other illusionary realms. I've heard of this formation before. It's like a box being placed on top of another box, and the deeper you go, the more powerful it becomes. However, this arrangement was extremely exquisite. If there was a slight negligence, all the previous efforts would be wasted. If it's this kind of barrier, it'll be amazing if you can put on 3 of them. So, if we break this one and another one, we'll be able to get in? Feng Zhu's eyes lit up. Tao Ken wasn't sure, so he said conservatively, I'm talking about ordinary formation masters. However, Tang Guang is known as the #1 formation master, a martial sovereign on the king level. He's much more powerful than them. He might be able to trap 5 or 7 of them. Feng Zhu's face immediately darkened as he turned to Yunxiao and said, You seem to have some understanding of soaring light. How many do you think he can put on at most? Yunxiao was observing carefully when his thoughts were interrupted by the two. If Tang Guang were to focus on this kind of interlocking barrier arrangement, it wouldn't be a problem to create about 108,000 of them. 108,000. Feng Zhu was stunned for a moment before he laughed. Do you think he's a God Realm expert? Even if it's the God Realm, there's still a limit. Yunxiao gave him a cold look and said, As long as you grasp the essence of this formation within a formation, you can set it into an infinite number of formations. However, Tang Guang wasn't so bored. Since this formation was something he was so proud of, there must be something special about it. If I'm not wrong, this should be 4 environments connected together, a repeated cycle with no beginning or end. A repeated cycle with no beginning and no end? Feng Zhu was shocked, what does this mean? Can't we get out? Yunxiao was also a little vexed. Look at the surroundings, the vegetation is in spring, and the scenery is full of life. This should be the rule of the earth spring. If I'm not wrong, this is the power of the 4 seasons. It's the 4 great enchantments, and spring goes and autumn comes, summer falls and winter rises. It's endless. This is in line with his aesthetic. Then what do we do? When Yi Fan heard this, his head started to throb, this was already beyond his understanding. The rest of the people were also confused, as if they were listening to a heavenly book. There are only 2 ways, Yunxiao said. One is to break the formation by force. We can't count on it. We don't know if there are any other experts trapped in it. Only by breaking the laws of the spring, summer, autumn, and winter earth could he escape. The second is to comprehend the power of the 4 seasons and use the laws of the earth for my own use. I'll be able to transcend and directly walk out of the illusion. He saw that everyone was still at a loss, so he reached out and patted the chariot lightly. For example, this is the rule of the earth spring. The place he had casually patted actually began to sprout, forming a seedling that grew vigorously. After a few breaths of time, a small flower bloomed, and then it stopped.
Ah.
The people of the Temple of Holy Fire all had their mouths wide open, looking at the flower in disbelief. Fengzhu even went up and took it off. He looked at it in his hand and even sniffed it a few times. He said in shock, "What's it? You've already mastered the power of spring?" Yunxiao said, "I've mastered it before. The reason why I can do it now is because this illusionary realm is formed by the power of spring, and I'm just using it casually. Normally, one would have to condense their own nomological rules to do so. How could it be so casual and simple? Besides, even if I have that kind of enlightenment, I'm too weak to compete with the person controlling the illusion. Unless my cultivation is higher than his and I can control the eye of the formation, I can take control of the formation." Had he mastered it before? Everyone was stunned and didn't quite understand. However, there were too many things that they didn't understand, so they didn't think about it carefully. At this moment, little Qing, who was in the center of the array, was greatly shocked. Yunxiao's grab of the power of laws just now was so casual and easy, just like the controller of the array. Then there was only one possibility, and that was that he had already comprehended the rules of the 4 seasons, which was why he could use them. At the thought of this, he was completely dumbfounded. The power of the 4 seasons was the law of the earth. If his original body was not the array's eye, he would not be able to control it with his strength. His confidence that everything was under his control began to waver. Their wariness of Yunxiao even surpassed that of the other martial sovereigns. "You've said so much, have you found a way out?" Fengzhu asked. "No, I didn't." Yunxiao shook his head and said, "But it's not impossible. I've thought of the best way to break the formation." "What's the best method?" Yi Fan asked. Yunxiao stared at him and smiled, but he did not answer. Instead, he began to think. The war chariot quieted down. No one dared to disturb him. The environment here was no longer something they could deal with, so they had placed all their hopes on Yunxiao. "What is the best method?" An extremely impatient voice suddenly asked. The entire Tiger King fell silent, and the atmosphere became tense and heavy. Because the question just now was not asked by anyone on the chariot. Fengzhu's expression changed, and he reached out to grab the space. The space shook and a shadow flickered, gently landing on the chariot. Fluctuations also appeared in 2 other places, and 2 figures appeared one after another. The 3 of them were wearing light blue jackets. They were from the Soul Devourer clan. Their faces were cold and arrogant. They looked at them from the corner of their eyes as if they were receiving great kindness. The Soul Devourer clan. Yunxiao's eyes flickered. He recognized the outfit at once, and he was shocked. The Soul Devourer clan was extremely mysterious and strange, and the cultivation techniques they cultivated were even more evil. His soul battle techniques were learned from the Soul Devourer clan, and the 3 people in front of him had suppressed everyone's aura as soon as they appeared. Their strength was evident. The people of the Temple of Holy Fire also retreated instantly and surrounded the 3. Everyone was on guard as if they were facing a great enemy. The aura these 3 people gave them was too cold and powerful. Especially Zhang Xiaotian, even Fengzhu and Cheguang, the 2 martial venerables, felt extremely depressed. "Humph, you're quite knowledgeable, kid. Tell me how to break this formation. At that time, I can spare your life."